Welcome, everybody, to 6 Ways Your DNS Could Be Compromised. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, for this very valuable information on DNS. I'd like to turn it over to Tom Gibb, who will take us through the information that we wanted to share with you today.
Thank you. I'm going to go over some of the more common DNS attacks that our team has seen, and then briefly go through how our DNS Defender can protect your DNS servers from these threats and others. So let me go ahead and get started here. Okay, so in today's presentation, these are some of the things that we'll be covering. We'll focus on, again, the attacks, just a brief overview of some of the more common ones, as well as some of the emerging threats that are starting to present themselves that are different than what we've seen in the past. And then we'll also discuss the DNS Defender, how we have the ability to see this traffic and stop it, as well as the ability to prevent new types of threats that other systems don't have the capability of doing that. So moving on. Just a brief overview for anyone that isn't real familiar with DNS. Every time we go to the internet, we go to a website and we do a lookup, we're relying upon the information from the DNS servers to get us to where we're wanting to go. And this presents a major weak point within the internet, because this is something that we have to go to every time that we request going to a website. And as the internet and the use of the internet continues to grow, it becomes a greater target point for hackers and those that are looking to cause malicious activity. So rather than just your desktop, you now have mobile devices, you have devices that are in cars, appliances. Again, the internet is starting to show up in places that no one ever had any idea that it would when it was created many years ago. So one of the things when the internet was created is that no one ever really stopped to think about how people could use the internet or find weaknesses within the internet for malicious activities. It just wasn't part of the initial design, and as such, the DNS, the domain servers, the protocols really were never configured for security as part of that. So it presents a number of weaknesses just in the general structure of the DNS protocols and the way we use it. And this hasn't escaped the attention of those that are looking to do harm. Again, we keep looking to build up the security of our networks, but one part of the network that we continue to overlook is the DNS servers. And this has such created a weakness, a vulnerability that the attackers are taking advantage of. Here's some recent headlines of attacks that have taken place. And as we dug into these, we found some interesting facts. All of these sites had a number of things in common besides being attacked. They all had what would be considered a robust security posture. They had firewalls and IPSs, but they also relied heavily upon DNS traffic to conduct their business. As such, even though they had the security, they still were vulnerable to attack. The types of attacks that can be presented to the DNS servers is varied. And this is just a real small sampling of the different types of attacks. There's multiple flavors of these attacks. There's combinations of using these attacks. And then, as we'll briefly touch upon, there are new types of attacks that are just now being seen as well. So these are the more common attacks and those that we're seeing, and the ones that I'll be briefly going over. Probably one of the earlier types of attacks that was seen, but still quite common, is doing a DNS flood attack, where you're just bombarding the DNS servers with a large amount of traffic, sometimes with open requests, and as a result you're just looking to create a fallover situation with one or both of the DNS servers. And so this is one type of attack that has been seen for quite a while. One of the other types of attacks that kind of builds upon this is by utilizing a reflection attack. And this actually creates another website that becomes an unwitting accomplice in the process. So when you start researching, trying to find out where all the traffic's coming from that's causing your DNS servers to fall over, it's going to go back to another website or a group of servers that had no idea that they were being utilized for this attack. And so it's much harder to determine where and who the attack is coming from. DNS cache poisoning relies upon replacing a good DNS response with a bad DNS response. This can be done just by flooding domain servers with a bogus DNS address, and sometimes it just works from the standpoint of hitting it with enough different variables to find the weakness, or utilizing some other form like brute force, or some type of deceptive way of getting it in there. The whole idea is that if you get the bad DNS into the cache, that until that cache is refreshed, it's sending out a bad address the whole time. And so this could be redirecting for a phishing attack, or a type of malware poisoning as well. Then we have just utilizing and exploiting the weaknesses with the DNS protocol. Again, there were a number of vulnerabilities that were unintentionally built into the DNS protocol, and in this case the attackers are utilizing some of the weaknesses within the DNS protocol, either by putting payloads within the request, or just utilizing malformed request to create a problem. So we've seen a new type of DNS attack that's taken place that's utilizing bots. One of the unique challenges with this is that, for all intents and purposes, it looks as if it's valid traffic. There's nothing that it's relying upon that is a malformed DNS address, or looking to create a flood of attacks. What it's doing is that the attacker's actually creating a new website, and at the time they're attaching a DNS server to that new website that is not the correct one, and then all of the traffic that comes to that DNS host server is going to overload it, and by targeting the authoritative server, it's much easier to create a situation where that server falls over from the amount of increased traffic. Again, the traffic looks legitimate. It can be coming from a number of different sources, and as a result, it is a challenge to prevent. So one of the ways that, or not one of the ways, but probably the best way to protect the DNS servers, particularly large organizations that have multiple DNS servers and a high volume of traffic, is with the CloudShield DNS Defender. We're focused really on 4 areas with the function of the DNS server. Security is clearly one of the primary functions. It's a DNS firewall focused only on protecting the DNS servers. We're not trying to stop other malware within the network. We're not focused on any traffic that is not related to that going to the DNS servers. We're strictly focused on protecting the DNS server. The second focus is to increase the performance. The CloudShield platform has the unique capability of doing high performance caching, and as a result we can reduce the amount of traffic going to your DNS servers and increase the performance as well as the security. The third would be the flexibility. Again, this is a dedicated platform for DNS defense. So we have the capability of writing within a very short length of time a filter and or defense strategy for a new type of attack as they present themselves. And fourth is the insight. So with this, we have the capability of seeing the traffic going to the DNS servers. We can correlate that and gain insight as to what the performance and traffic have in common, and spot and improve the defense as a result of that. So the unique capability of the DNS Defender is the fact that it's built upon the CloudShield platform. The CloudShield platform has the deep packet processing technology, and this is unique to our device and has been in use for a number of years, protecting DNS servers as well as other network requirements within high-profile networks. Just to go into it a little bit to make sure that we understand what the differences are with the deep packet processing. We can do all of the same things that we're familiar with deep packet inspection, but we can take that one step further, and we can actually copy, redirect the traffic. We can take action upon the information that we see, and as a result we have full visibility into the traffic that is passing through the CloudShield platform. So when we look at the traffic that other devices see and the traffic that the CloudShield device sees, this will help you better understand why the conventional IDS, IPS, firewall, security system that you have in place just isn't adequate when you're protecting the DNS servers. We have the capability of looking at all of the traffic, so we can look at the information that's pertinent to the DNS request as well as anything else that might be within that request that could cause problems. So one of the the primary benefits of the deep packet processing is that the time to process and take action is nearly immediate. Instead of relying upon a security team and administrators to implement changes and or responses to a malicious or bad traffic, the DNS Defender and the Cloud Shield platform can respond immediately to those threats and take action on its own. Here's just a simple diagram of a network that is utilizing the Cloud Shield defenders. For the sake of this diagram, it's showing two different Cloud Shield defenders. This could be one appliance, depending on the network configuration, or in the case of a very large network, you might have multiple DNS defenders protecting different DNS servers within the network. So typically, good traffic is going to enter in and go to the DNS servers to do the lookups and not have any problem with that. If a DNS request comes in or a flood attack, then the DNS Defender will step in and prevent the traffic from going to the DNS servers. And so this keeps everything open and protected. One of the primary advantages is it doesn't require a major change to the network configuration, so it doesn't impact the networking team and the the availability of the DNS servers when you go to install the DNS Defender, because it does fit within the existing structure of a network. So the DNS Defender has been in use since 2008. It's primarily being used by large government and telco clients, those that have very high DNS traffic, a very high need of reliability of that DNS server staying up. And so this we've developed the DNS Defender product for those clients, as well as large corporate clients that also are depending upon their DNS servers as they conduct business as well. Again, we're focused just on the defense of the DNS servers. We're not just focused on DDoS. We're not a DDoS specific. DDoS is one form of attack on a DNS server. So again, we're protecting the DNS servers is our focus. In addition to providing the security, we're also providing a layer of performance. One of the disadvantages of trying to conduct the security on your DNS server is you're taking function away from the DNS server's capability, and what you're doing by using the DNS Defender is you're offloading the security to a dedicated device. In addition to offloading that performance to the DNS Defender, the caching capability in addition can reduce the amount of traffic and requests that have to go to the DNS servers. So you have a twofold increase in performance from that functionality. And then when it really comes down to it, if you have enough DNS traffic that you can monitor and track, then your organization has some financial tie back to the uptime of the DNS servers, be it for commerce or as a telco that's providing that service to their clients. There's always going to be a cost to downtime that's associated with that. So to address the different types of attacks, Cloud Shield's developed a different filtering technology that every DNS request goes through. And so as there are new types of attacks, we can create a new filter type to address that. And so the traffic has to pass through these different types of filters that are looking at the different types of attacks that may take place. The advantage of this is that we're not doing this based upon a reputation type of filtering, but we're actually looking at the request itself and what's trying to take place. We're looking at the performance from a time standpoint, how many requests are made within a certain length of time. So in some cases, like the botnet attack, the traffic looks legitimate, but the amount of traffic within a certain period of time going to a server is abnormal. So utilizing that variable, we're able to spot and stop those types of attacks. So this goes back to an earlier slide that went through the different types of DNS attacks. Again, it's a small sampling, but then there's more of an explanation on the right-hand side as to how the DNS defender prevents the attack, the steps that we take, how the action that we take. It kind of goes through a little bit more of that view of the attacks as it relates to the DNS defender's actions. So one of the things that we hit upon was the flexibility. We have the ability to do real-time mitigation. We can create a new type of filter as a new type of attack shows up. Because we're dealing with a lot of telcos and large government organizations, we end up having insight to a lot of very sophisticated attacks that take place towards those clients before they take place on a commercial type of client. So it gives us some additional visibility into the types of attacks that are taking place. So this is actually just kind of going through the new type of bot-based attack that we saw just recently, and again how we ended up addressing that with the DNS Defender to prevent that. So many of our customers unintentionally ended up finding that there was a benefit that they really weren't looking for, and that was the increased performance of their DNS servers. They were focused on stopping attacks and keeping their servers up, but in the process they ended up finding that the performance was substantially increased on their DNS servers, and as a result they were able to either reduce the stack of DNS servers, or they were able to increase the lifespan of the existing infrastructure that they had in place by removing that traffic that had been going to the DNS servers and was being now addressed by the caching capability of the DNS Defender. The visibility, we've greatly improved this recently. With the our DMA product, and so what we're able to do is we're able to look at the traffic, and then we're able to do an analysis of that traffic, and so this helps us spot possible performance hits that you've seen on your DNS servers in the past. We can correlate that back and actually see that it was caused by a certain type of traffic, which may end up being an attack. So oftentimes with DNS servers, we may notice a performance drop and not realize or associate that with a possible attack. So it could be that there was an attack that took place and it didn't maybe bring the entire system down, but it impacted performance substantially. And so with this information, we're able to implement the security necessary. A number of our clients that do a proof of concept within 30 days of running the DNS Defender, looking at this information, they're able to see how much bad traffic is coming to their DNS servers that they thought was being addressed with existing security systems that they had in place, and it just drives home the need and the capability of the DNS Defender. So this is going to that point of the kind of the POC. We can actually do that as an assessment of the DNS client's DNS network, and come in and run the DNS Defender from a monitoring standpoint, take that data back and make recommendations, and from that the client can increase the performance of their DNS servers and more than likely justify the bringing in of the DNS Defender as a new piece of equipment. So just to tie this up, many of you have never heard of Cloud Shield before this presentation, or but haven't associated it with this type of a product for the commercial sector. We've been around since 2000. Again, we pioneered the deep packet processing technology. We've been a trusted platform for governments and telcos for a number of years, and we're now taking that to the commercial space. We became part of SAIC, which is now Leidos, back in 2010, and as such we've been looked upon as a leader of very high-end platforms when it comes to security. Here's a brief overview of a number of our partners and customers. And if you're a channel partner, we'd like to talk to you. And we have a number of programs in place to work with you. And that is the end of the presentation. I have Chris Hauser, one of my SEs, on the line as well. And I'll open that to see if he would like to make any comments or corrections to something that I may have covered that wasn't quite on the spot from a technical standpoint. So just Chris, do you have anything to add? All right. Well, with that, I will end the presentation. Please email me or your channel partner or sales rep, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.